Hi guys, Andy here. I have with me today the Lenovo Moto G4. Now, the original Moto G, I think, is still possibly, for its time at that point, one of the best value phones you're ever going to have bought. Obviously, it's sort of 3 years old now, so mind you, actually, I know some people are still using them. My aunt's still using them. I see people on forums saying, yeah, I still use my original Moto G because it was an amazing device. It did have some flaws. The camera wasn't good, but let's not get into that. But it was, for the money you paid, great. They followed up with the second gen version, which personally I wasn't as big a fan of. In fact, I sold that and kept my original as my sort of backup budget phone and my champion budget phone. I mainly just wasn't as slick and smooth. It never got a speaker, and I was got a battery. Then the third gen came out, and I thought, yep, this is a pretty good device again. They've sort of corrected for me some of the problems they had in the second gen. Probably still not as sort of, I don't know if I would say groundbreaking, but as memorable as the original Moto G. But still a good device. That's what my mum's on now. And then obviously when the Moto G4 was announced, I was quite keen to see how that performed. So here we have. Now, the interesting thing with the Moto G4, you can get it in various different versions. So you can get a G4 Plus. You can up the specs in that a little bit, and you can go up to kind of, I think it's sort of 250 odd quid. This is kind of the bog standard, cheapest I could buy Moto G4. And I did that because, for me, the Moto G is a budget device. So if I start going up into the mid 200s, it's no longer really a budget device. So I thought I'd try the sort of the base level of the Moto G range. Now, one thing you might notice straight away, I suppose there's not much to compare against, is the 5.5 inch screen. I'll just bring in my Note 5 very quickly. There's not that big a difference between the two. And when you put it next to the original Moto G, you really see the size difference. It is. I mean, I think it's a shame why it needs to be like all the others. The Moto G was a good option for people that wanted a smaller device. Not even that just because it was budget, just because it was smaller. So I think it's a bit of a shame that they've gone to a 5.5 inch screen like they have. It's 155 grams, so it's not crazy heavy. So that's a reasonable weight. Doesn't feel heavy in the hand. It's 9.8 millimeters thick, which again, I mean, that's not crazy thin. It's one of the wider phones actually you're going to find probably, but it doesn't feel big or like a block in your hand. There's a very slight camera bump, but really not noticeable. It's got a kind of a grained plastic back cover, easy enough to just pull off. It comes in a variety of different colours as well. Oh, I don't know what's going to happen on the... Oh, it stayed on. So you can get a variety of different colours. You can get the kind of the bezel bit around the camera, a different colour. I suppose one thing I thought maybe would have been nice, it's got the silver bar all around the outside, as you can see. So I actually got 3 different colours, white, silver and red. It'd be nice if it cut it down to 2 perhaps, or if the front matched the back, but it's only a small issue. I should have shown you while I had the back off. As we move on to kind of the hardware, it does have a 2 SIM card slots. I've actually taken my SIM out at the minute. I have gone back to my Note 5 in the last couple of days. And interestingly, you got so they are nano SIMs, but you get a nano SIM adapter in both of the SIM card slots. That's quite cool. I've never seen that before. Oh, I left my memory card in there. Must remember to take that out then. And as you can see, it has a memory card slot. Being on Marshmallow, you can use the old adopted storage as well. I haven't particularly tried that. I've not filled up the 16 gig that I get with this. So on to the other hardware. It has a Snapdragon 617 chipset, quad-core 1.5 GHz Cortex A53 and quad-core 1.2 GHz Cortex A53. Has an Adreno 405 GPU. As I mentioned, 16 gig of storage and 2 gig of RAM. Geekbench 3 clocks up at around 3,000. It's in the region of the Nexus 6 and the Redmi 3 Pro. So, I mean, that's a lot better than previous Moto Gs from my recollection. The screen is 1080 by 1920. So it's 401 pixels per inch, which again, pretty good. If you remember back to when Apple first announced Retina displays and that, 300 was kind of the benchmark. So 401 certainly seems good enough to me. It is IPS LCD, which I think is always a shame. I am an AMOLED fan. I don't like the kind of glowing greys and blacks that you get with LCD. But having said that, it is a very good bright screen, 720 lux, which is up there with the big boys, really. I mean, that's higher than the 6P, it's higher than the BlackBerry Priv, but both have very good screens. So not really any issues as far as seeing the screen in the outdoors. And that's all covered with Corning Gorilla Glass 3. The speaker, I never entirely decide. I think the speaker comes external speakers at the top there. It didn't score well in my readings with my my volume meter, but actually I always thought it sounded very good. Let me see if I can go wrong.
I guess a brave thing to do. I can't think of a lot of other CEs. Well, it's brave in the fact that everything's going to go through filters. But it is live. Yeah, but they still have. I mean, they've had.
So the volume not great, but actually it's quite a good sound. Reasonably rounded, a little bit of bass in there. So, you know, I know a lot of people really don't care about the external speaker. I do because I listen to a lot of my podcasts. And it's, yeah, I mean, I think it's a very good speaker. Now, we are missing NFC, so there's no Android Pay on the Moto G4, and also no fingerprint sensor. Go for the 4 Plus, you're going to get a fingerprint sensor, but not on the cheaper version. If we move on to the camera, we have a 13 megapixel f2.0 main camera. We have a 5 megapixel f2.2 front-facing camera. I thought generally they were pretty good snaps, pretty good color, pretty clear. You know, nothing. I did have a few where it hadn't focused properly. The front-facing camera again seemed pretty good. I wouldn't put it down as any kind of weak point. The camera on this phone, the video as well, generally pretty good. I mean, not amazing, not up there with the big boys. I have done a comparison. I've not edited it yet against my Note 5, and you can clearly see the difference. So there's no tricking anyone that this is a high-end phone. Again, with the video, the focus was a little slow at times. So I think that's perhaps its weakest point. It's just the unreliable focus. The low-light video also wasn't particularly amazing, but again, it's passable. If you're paying £170 for this device, the camera is kind of as you would expect, if not slightly better than you would expect. I'm going to move on to the software. Now, actually, I'll show you one thing there, maybe. Is the active display. So when you pick your phone up, it opens up. You can then, if you want, if there's an email, you can slide up into that, or as you can see with the music, you slide up into the app. I've got to be honest, I didn't use that a lot, and actually I found it more annoying that I'd pick it up and it kind of wake and I think, yeah, unlock, and it did that. I was going to say, the amount of times I tried to press things to unlock it from the active, actually if you get from the bottom, there you go, that's my bad. I've just not been doing it correctly, obviously. So yeah, active display, maybe you like it, maybe you use it. I didn't particularly, but there you go, it's there. The experience on Moto Gs has always been, and hopefully always will be, very close to stock Android. So most people will really like it. Oh, what's the football on today? That's not, oh, you can add teams to get updates. Anyway, it's slick, it's smooth, it's stock Android. You know, to me that should be quite a strong selling point to most people. Samsung does well. No, let's not just signal out Samsung. Some of the others do have some very good little additions, but at the same time, I don't think you can beat stock Android. Hopefully there'll be some fast updates. I do like and I couldn't find them in the settings where you turn them on and off, but there's some sort of gestures. So twist it twice, the camera opens. That was really handy. I used that more than I thought I would. I went to American Speedfest 4, and the amount of times I just pull it out my phone and give it a quick twist and take picture, very handy. The other one is the kind of karate chop. I don't know if we can do it sideways or not. There you go. You get a vibration as it happens just to kind of confirm. And again, to me, that's really handy. The amount of times, I don't know, if I'm delving underneath my desk under my computer because I had some problems recently, it's quite handy to just grab the phone and go, quick flick, and and the lights on. The only weird sort of thing I found was I use a lot of Bluetooth, either headphones or in my car, and each time I connected it kind of reset the volume back down. I'd have to turn it back up. That seemed a little bit weird. I don't know why it did that. But yeah, I mean, all right, you've got to say the software, being close to stack Android, is a plus point. If we move on to the battery, so it's a non-removable Li-ion 3000 milliamp hour battery. It says it has turbocharger. If I can grab, if my cable will reach, it does just. Let's plug it in. So it says charging. Where is it that I've seen it say turbo? It's just saying charging on AC at the moment. A little weird because I'm sure it's the exact same cable I've used before, and it said turbo. Or maybe it's because I'm at 84. Maybe I've got to get down below 60. That's quite often how the Samsung does say still fast charging, if it's not actually fast charging. Anyway, so it does have turbocharge, but maybe in that case, I have seen it, I'm sure, using that cable. It wasn't particularly turbo for my liking. So in fact, we can probably see if I go into, because I started the app up to test, and here you see it 48%, coming up to 9 o'clock. So we go to 9:30 or just before. Let's give it 68%. So 20% in half an hour. That's not particularly turbo. So got all the way fully charged finally by just after 10:30. So 2 hours to go from charge to half the phone. I mean, that's really slow. No, sorry, 2 hours? 1.5 hours was it? Yeah, 1.5 hours ish. So yeah, I'm not quite sure. Maybe it's just because I didn't use. Was there a charger? Yeah, I didn't use that charger. I probably should have tried that charger. That's probably a little unfair of me. Maybe turbocharge works fantastic. My apologies. Someone who's got the phone maybe can comment. Let us know. But actually the battery pretty good. So I did my usual battery test where I play it's about a 37-minute video. Then the other 23 minutes it spends auto-loading web pages like Twitter and stuff. And after the hour, I still had 91% battery left. So I think that's pretty good with an hour screen on and it actually doing stuff for a proportion of that. It's one of the better scores I've had. So the battery pretty good. So all in all, I think it's a great all-round device. I wasn't in a massive hurry to get back to my Note 5 when I'd reviewed this for a week. I mean, I did. I moved back to my Note 5, but I wasn't. It wasn't like I was really missing things particularly. I missed the fingerprint reader a little bit, but there's no real flaws to this phone. It's the original Moto G, the camera was terrible. And that was the flaw, but you could work around that. You could live with that. With the Moto G4, I just don't feel there's any massive flaw. It's smooth, it's slick, it's got good speakers, it's got good camera, it's got good battery life. It feels good in the hand. It's a nice design. All round, it's a good device. I think it's a shame they've increased the size, just to kind of almost to be like the other devices. I would have really liked it if they stuck to kind of 5-inch, or maybe even 4.7 or 4.5 even. Maybe you just can't get 4.5-inch phones these days, I don't think. And also, maybe it's £30 too much, even for the budget version at £169. £139 or £129, and this would have been. I mean, that I think would have put it in a similar class to the first Moto G, maybe, if they could have got it down to that price. So there you go. That's my thoughts on the Moto G4. Let me know yours. Drop me comments down below if you have one. Let me know about the turbocharge. Sorry about that. Apart from that, though, my name's Andy. I'll catch you all again soon.